Hello, this is Richard Smith here, the head professional at Topgolf in Chigwell. Here we're going to talk a little bit about how to control your ball flight and actually knock the flight down, so hit it a little bit lower. I suppose one of the main benefits of this is when you're making your calculations when it's very, very windy, so you have to take into account what the wind's doing, whether it's coming off the right, off the left, and where you need to start your golf ball in accordance for the golf ball to kind of finish where you want it to. So by actually hitting the ball lower, we don't have to allow for the wind as much. Certainly if it's into wind, you know, when it's into wind and you hit the golf ball and it starts to get up there very, very high, as players would realise, when it gets up there, any spin on the ball gets really exaggerated, so it gets taken quite a long way off target. Also, it can really, really affect distance, so it makes club selection really, really tricky. So I suppose by hitting the golf ball lower, it takes these elements out of play so much. So we haven't got as many calculations to do, and it's more accurate to our normal golf shot. So, you know, we're not having to think about where to start the golf ball as much or how much the wind's going to affect the shot. By hitting it lower, you know, it makes our calculations much, much easier. So really important with club selection, guys. Now, spin has a massive influence on speed. So the harder I hit the golf ball, the more speed obviously I create, but more importantly, the more spin I impart on the golf ball. So the more club head speed you're creating, guys, the more spin will be on the ball. Now, what that does, the more spin we have on the golf ball in the wind, the more it's going to climb and the more it's going to curl offline. That's why, you know, you see the likes of, you know, the really big hitters could be much, much more wild because they're creating much, much more speed, which takes the golf ball offline. So what we're actually going to do is I'm actually going to take, I've got 170 yards here. For me, that is normally a 6-iron. So I would normally hit my 6-iron from 170 to 175 yards. This occasion actually, because it's a very, very strong wind today, guys, I'm actually going to use my 4-iron. Now, by using a slightly more stronger lofted golf club, by using a stronger iron, that's going to allow me to keep the ball under the wind, and it's going to allow me to obviously hit the golf ball much, much lower. All right, so what I now haven't got to do with my 4-iron is I don't have to hit the ball as hard now because it's a stronger lofted golf club. That ball, I don't have to hit it as hard, so the ball won't get up in the air as much and it won't be affected by the wind as much. So that's really important to remember. If we look at the actual posture changes, because this is also very important as well. So first of all, if I take my normal stance, guys, for a 4-iron, predominantly it would be kind of, if this is in the centre of the stance, it would be starting to creep slightly further forward. So it's going forwards in my stance now slightly. All right, that would be a normal position to play a 4-iron. Not in the middle of the stance, it would actually be starting to move its way forwards. That's obviously to do with the loft on the golf club. So that's to do with the angle of the club face here. By having the ball slightly forwards, that would help me get the ball in the air. Obviously, we don't want to in this occasion. That's really important to remember. So what I'm actually going to do, instead of playing it in its normal playing lie, which is kind of starting to favour forwards, what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to knock that ball position back. So actually, even in this occasion, because it's a very strong wind, I'm actually going to knock that even back from the centre of the stance. All right, so it's actually going to start to go back a little bit. What that's going to allow the golf club to do, this is really important to remember, guys, it's going to make the club head want to work downwards more. All right, so it's going to what we call steepen the angle of attack. So it's going to get this club head travelling downwards more. And if a club head's travelling downwards more, what it's going to do, it's going to give you a steeper angle of attack. So the initial launch is a lot lower. All right, so it's going to launch lower. So ball position back equals steeper angle, gets the golf ball starting lower. All right, so that's really important to remember. Guys, in terms of weight distribution as well, this is really important to remember as well. So with my ball position slightly back, if I was playing a normal 4-iron, guys, my weight distribution would be 50-50. So I'd feel pretty even in the balls of my feet here. I wouldn't be favouring either side if I was playing a normal shot. Now, for this particular golf shot, guys, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to position my weight, so 60% of my weight is going to lean on that left side. So kind of 60-40 weight distribution, so leaning on that left side slightly. Now, what really important to remember, guys, is depending on the severity of the wind, depending on how low you want to keep it, would depend purely on how much weight you want on that left side. So if you wanted to keep that really low, guys, you know, I'd even be favouring kind of 65-70%. You know, if I had to hit the ball really, really low, if you just wanted it to just knock down a fraction, what you might do is you might just favour the left side. So once again, it's very much relative to the particular shot. You know, not only are we able to keep the ball under the wind with this shot, but if there's a hazard in your way, like a tree, and you need to get the golf ball underneath it, you know, sometimes if the tree's quite low, you know, you'd really have to lean on that left side to get the ball down. So I suppose just a few bits to remember there, guys. Take a stronger lofted golf club. So, you know, we're looking at kind of not your 6s, your 7s anymore. We need your 3s, your 4s, you know, maybe even your 5s. That will only help keep the golf ball lower. We're going to knock the ball position back, because we know by knocking the ball position back, it steepens up the angle of attack, which gets the launch angle going much lower. And once again, guys, getting your weight to go forwards. You know, by getting your weight forwards, once again, it makes the club head work upwards a lot quicker, and it makes the club head work downwards on the way down. So it works downwards, and going back to our ball position analogy about steepening the angle up, this does exactly the same thing. So by having the weight forwards, it really steepens that angle and knocks the flight down. Okay, guys, so there's some pre-swing stuff. One of the in-swing things I would always say with this is when we're making our golf swing, what we're trying to do is on the way through, it's a pretty normal backswing. It's going to look a little steeper because of the fact that my weight's forwards and the ball's back a little. So it's going to look a little steeper on the way back. But on the way down, really important, guys, what I like to see, if you watch any top player, I know Tiger was really, really good at it in his day when he called it a stinger shot. And what he would actually do is, when he's coming through the golf ball, he would really make sure that club head stays looking at the target for as long as possible. With the weight being forwards and the ball being back, if we were seeing any big release there, you know, you're likely to lose a lot left. So really important, guys, when I'm playing this golf shot, this club head stays looking at the looking at the target for as long as possible. So we're taking the release out a little bit. All right, so I'll just show you one here really quickly, guys. So I'm going to knock my ball position back as mentioned. I'm going to get my weight forwards. I've just gone down the grip a little bit. It's just going to give me a little bit more control. So I've just tweaked my hand down the grip just a fraction, just to give me a little bit more control of the actual golf swing, because that's really important. You know, everything we're speaking about here, guys, is controlling flight. So I've just gone down a little bit. That's going to help take some of the speed off and just knock the flight down a little. So ball position back, weight forwards, nice passive hands, face staying at the target, and that ball should stay. Oh, look at that. That's a real good one. So that one should stay nice and low. I was really happy with that one. So guys, some really, really good, clear, precise posture changes, and a couple of really in-swing changes we make when we try and hit the golf ball low. Once again, just knowing these things, if you're starting to understand the mechanics of why the ball behaves a certain way, it can only help your golf, and it'll understand why if you're seeing something out on the golf course, if you're not having any instruction at the moment, or if you're having instruction but you haven't got your coach with you, it just enables you to be able to kind of self-diagnose a little bit better when you're out on the golf course. Thank you very much for listening. Please give it a try. I'd be really interested to hear your views on it, your successes, your failures, you know, all the stuff that when you're practicing it, and be really interested to hear your feedback. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you, guys.